for me, it's a mindset. It's a mindset going in. Do you want to play a 1-0 game, or you want to play that open game? We've done it now 2-3 games in a row. We got lucky once because maybe a goaltending, but other than that, again, that's not us. That's not us. And I'm almost glad sometimes it happens, because it shows you that we have work to do. And I don't want to play that game. I'm a defensive mindset coach, I would say, and it starts from there. And offense will come anyway, but you don't have to cheat the game, that's for sure.
Welcome to the Hockey Hub. That was Marco Sturm, fresh off of a 6-5 loss, the Boston Bruins. 2 games in a row now, losing by 1 goal and making it interesting at least, but a lot of things exposed. You heard him say, kind of glad it happened so they can, show what they have to work on. But that was Marco Sturm. It's Sophia and Kasey here with another episode of the Hockey Hub with you guys, and we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about this Bruins game, but with a very special guest, and we're going to bring her up right now, Marina Maher. I almost pronounced it Mayer. I had to ask her in the commercial break. Maher is a way cooler name. Marina, thank you for joining us. You are listed on our show as Boston Bruins blogger. You also work for Barstool. I've never met you in person, but I've just known of you because every Bruins fan knows who you are. You are just everywhere, and you tweet the funniest things. Yeah, you tweet the funniest things, and you've been a Boston Bruins fan for a long time. We are going to get into the Bruins game. We want your take, obviously, but I kind of want your backstory. Can you tell me how this all, were you just born into a Bruins family? Do you remember your first falling in love with the Bees? Give us a little backstory.
First of all, what an intro. Thank you. Highly complimentary. Thank you. Yeah, I always joke that I was born in a hockey rink. My brother played hockey, and so I'm a couple years younger, so I was always tagged along going with him. Actually grew up outside of Hartford, so the Whalers should have been my first love, but they left for Carolina, and so my dad had always been a Bruins fan anyway, so I grew up with it. It's a family tradition. But yeah, my brother played hockey. I ended up playing, so it's just been something that's been in the family and that I've loved, and I've turned into a career here, which is awesome. It's people. I hear a lot from my friends who have corporate jobs, and I'm yeah, I got to watch the Bruins game last night and write about it. We're not the same in that sense. So I'm very, very blessed that I get to do this. And social media in general as a full-time job at covering my favorite team for the last, 31 years.
That is so fun. And like I said, I found you because of your elite tweets. And what translates so well is when you tweet certain things, especially all caps, I feel everything that goes out there. But where did it start for you between making this a career and then being able to use your fandom behind it? Because I know some people, they go to Twitter later, or they start over on Instagram, or now TikTok's a big thing. Where did it really jump off for you?
Yeah, I started in the blog era. Before I even joined Barstool, I read all of their stuff. Rear Admiral, who's a co-host of Spit and Chicklets, a pretty popular hockey podcast. I would read his stuff. I would read Dave Portnoy's stuff. And so I kind of grew up in this blog era, this Twitter era. And so I just fired off stuff I thought was funny. And back then in 2013, 2014, 2015, you weren't really seeing highlights unless it was the next day on SportsCenter. And then if it was the next day on SportsCenter, they're not showing Bruin stuff. That's just not happening. So it was more just I wanted to post stuff that I never saw and that I thought was interesting. And a guy getting dumped, into the bench, they're not going to show that on Twitter. So that's kind of my background on it. But yeah, in 2015, I started my own blog. It was actually called Weekend at Bergey's, inspired by Patrice Bergeron.
Love it.
My all-time favorite player. Just such a great guy, great person, great everything. I told him this story, actually, the first or second time that we met, and I was I owe my life to you. I wrote this blog. I wouldn't be where I am, be as successful as I am, without you existing, so thank you. And so he thought that was so funny, and of course he was so humble, oh no, you would have found your way, yada yada yada. But yeah, so I started a blog, and then Dave Portnoy found me, and I've joined Barstool on the social media side, especially working under Dave's stuff and his stuff. And so just being a fan is the coolest thing. And then being a fan, being able to talk about the Bruins, just, not like a journalist where I have deadlines or I need to work in this angle, just as a true, vision of a fan and being excited about the team, being upset about the team. It's really fun.
That's why, I mean, what's so cool about journalism, or just like, I don't want to use that word because journalism is very different, but just like covering sports or coverage these days, is that back in the day, like even myself, I remember feeling really scared to show fandom because you want to be impartial, right? And I did go to school for journalism, so it is a little bit different. You want to be impartial, and it depends on where you work. I worked for a hard news station. I can't be like cheering when I'm trying to give people objective news. But what people really like these days with social media is like the fandom, the hardcore stuff. And there's a place for both, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't want my like Boston Globe writers, not impartial, right? Like, so there is a place for both, but I love your angle, I love your take. And this is why like having you on is going to be so cool in the future if you want to do this again. We already want to have you back, so I'm already throwing that out there. But like, we want to talk about the new era of this Boston Bruins, and you know it. You feel it with your heart. You felt the good, the bad, and the ugly your whole life. So I guess with that, and I'll ask some more questions later about kind of your journey, because I'm curious about, when... You know what, wait, let me ask you this, then we'll ask you about the Bruins. But really quick, like obviously everyone knows Barstool, Dave Portnoy, big name. Did he DM you, or like what was your reaction? How did that happen? Was he like, yo, I like your stuff, come work with us? Or how did that happen with Portnoy?
Yeah, so I had the Twitter account Weekend at Bergie's for my blog, just tweeting out highlights and articles, but I didn't have my name on the website. I was kind of, I didn't put my name on it because I was a woman in sports. Like, no one really had those roles. I didn't want anyone to know who I was. And so he followed, and his initial was like, how is like this person like getting, these Bruins clips out faster than like anybody else? So he followed the account, and I actually slid in his DMs being like, hey, like, I know you have a NHL podcast already, but like I can do this, this, and this. Like, let's hop on a call. And so he agreed to a call, and when he called me, he was like, oh, I must have the wrong number. And I was like, no, like, I'm Marina, like, I'm just a woman, like, this, it's me, like, and so that was very funny. So once we got over that hump, I kind of laid out what I could do for Barstool and all this stuff. And so I've been on his social media team. I'm coming up on 10 years at Barstool, maybe next year, but I've been with Dave and on his social media team for like the last 7 or 8 years, I'd say. But
Love
yeah,
that. Love that story. We're going to ask you a Bruins question, but really quick, I can relate. When I was a kid in Toronto, I used to try to call in for Toronto radio, and I'm like 13, so this is like more than 20 years ago, but I wanted to call in to talk Jays, to talk Leafs, and in radio, when the producers take a call, they like get your name and put you on hold, and then the host will pick you or whatever. So that there was a queue, and I barely could call in because it was so hard. But when I did make it, I would say my name was Sophia and never get picked. And I remember one day thinking like, you know what? I'm gonna put like a gender neutral name and say my name is Alex. The first time I did that, the host picked me as Alex, thinking I was a dude. And then when I got on, and I had this like, first of all, teenagers haven't grown into themselves. So I had this like little girl voice, and I was like, hey, I think the Leafs have got to do this, or whatever it was, and you could tell he was like, thanks for your thought, and like hung up. And this was way back in the day, but I remember feeling so much victory, and it's crazy that, we have to do that and feel that. But I'm glad Dave Portnoy said, you know what, you're great at what you do, and you're doing it for Barstool.
I think that's like the beauty of it too. Like, okay, like that's how I get my foot in the door, but like you still have to prove it,
Yeah.
You still have to, put the work in. Like just because I got picked out of, a bunch of people, I think you still have a job to do. And I think that's kind of the difference between people like, oh, like women, da 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 da. No, it's like, no, like we can get our foot in the door and we can do the job just as well too.
Amen.
Has your voice changed at all over the years? Because like from blogging and being able to kind of like put your emotions into that, I feel like as social media kind of changed and the landscape kind of changed, your voice can, like your humor behind it can change, or maybe you were reserved at one point, or maybe your goal has always just been like to be the voice for Bruins fans, because like from what I've heard, there's been an emotional roller coaster over the past 5, 6, 7 years here in Boston, and to keep a temperature on that, that's a tall task, whether you're having fun with it or going from a journalistic perspective.
Yeah, I would say as I've gotten bigger, I guess as my account has grown and just, getting noticed and whatnot, I would say I'm less harsh on the players, and that's more so if I run into someone and they're like, hey, like you were really hard. Like Jake DeBrusk would always kind of joke with me about that, about like how hard I was on so and so. So I maybe eat my tongue a little bit just these days, because it's just like they're people too.
Yeah.
But I'm in general always a positive, upbeat person. I mean, last year was very
not so much. Yeah.
But in general, like, I'm not here to tear down players. I'm here, like, I want the best out of them. So,
Yeah.
like, it makes no sense for me, even as a fan, to be like, oh, like, McAvoy sucked last night. Like, that's not beneficial for anybody. And, like, there are people, too. So that's, like, the only thing that's changed. Kind of, like, if I see someone, I don't want to, like, have to be, like, sorry about, like, saying you sucked, like, on this goal. Like, that's,
My bad
like,
about
the
my
only
tweets.
thing. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the only thing that's changed, but I think I've stayed true to myself. I think it's just been amplified more, which is funny. But I'm still the same, crazy Bruins fan that I was, with no one knowing me in high school in 2011 when they won the cup. So I think that's a testament, like the authenticity always wins, I think. And so staying true to myself is pretty important.
So with that said, like I said, you've been on this ride longer than Casey and I have, and you've seen it all. What do you make of this? I came in 2019, but after the Cup run, so I came in September, October 2019, and I've always had like an amazing Bruins team to cover, amazing culture, amazing locker room. Last year too, the year that stunk, I missed half of the year, so I didn't really experience that. But so you tell us, and I know now you have 5 games that maybe skew your opinion, but before the games, what did you make of this team going into it? And since those 5 have been played, what's your take on this Bruins team?
In the summer, I think a lot of people were really down on them. And I was like, no, like, there's no, like, a team that has Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman, and David Pastrnak, like, there's no way they're going to be as bad as they were last year. So going into this year, I was kind of higher on them than most. I think last night was evident of, like, the talent disparity between the Knights and the Bruins. But the Bruins stayed with it. Like, I think last year, if the Bruins go down a couple goals, they probably roll over and they don't fight back. But we've seen it against the Lightning and the Knights, 2 really good teams, that the Bruins fought back. I always laugh that, like, I think of it as eras. Like, the Chara era ended, and it's like, all right, it's on Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak now. Then Bergeron retired, and now Marchand's gone. So we're kind of in this just David Pastrnak era. And so it's really interesting to see. First of all, I think he should have been named captain at training camp. Like, it's clearly his team, but it's his team, and going forward, like, I'm like, this is it. It's time for David to step up. But yeah, last year, like the team last night, they wouldn't have even tried. I think you see 6 goals and you think, oh, Swayman must have had a bad game, but it was quite the opposite. Mm-hmm. But I do think this year the talent disparity between the Knights and those top teams and the Bruins is evident, but at the same time, they lost to the Lightning by a goal, they lost to the Knights by a goal, so they're at least staying in games. But yeah, they definitely need some help.
Do you feel like because they were able to surprise many people to getting off to that 3-0 start, that like the expectations just took a leap, and now the previous 2 losses feel like way more devastating than they actually should be? Because now everyone's asking me like, oh my gosh, if they're losing to these teams, that this is out, we're down and out. And then you see some fan reactions that are like, season's over, and it's like they lost to 2 really good teams by 1 goal, and like a large part to a number of their own mistakes, and we're 5 games in. Like, how do we level fans out just a little bit here?
Yeah, it's always going to be a results-driven league, right? Like, you can take some moral victories from last night's loss, but at the end of the day, it's, well, how are we going to get better? And to your point, yeah, it's only been 5 games, and with the new coach and Marco Sturm and all this, new systems, I think the Thanksgiving, deadline, like if they're in the playoffs by then, it's typically a good barometer. But yeah, it's interesting because you have so many new faces, so many new systems, and people are still learning how to play with each other. Like, Geeky got moved down for the first time last night. So I think it's a lot of feeling out, and I think Bruins fans can't get too high and you can't get too low. Mm-hmm. I think the second you start to get too high, like, oh, they've won 3 games, like maybe this team will be different. Yes and no. And then you play 2 really good teams in Vegas and Lightning, and it's like, oh, maybe they aren't that good. So I think taking a little bit from each game is important, and then seeing where they go from there. Like, can they build off of these 2 losses is basically what I'm going to measure up, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's a results league. So they got to stack their points up, especially with the roster that they have, if they want to make the playoffs.
I promised my followers on Instagram or whatever in the summer, it was more in training camp, I was like, I promise this will be a fun team to watch. I didn't say they're going to win every game. I said it's going to be exciting. And yesterday was exciting. It was back and forth. There were lead exchanges. There was this and that. That was exciting. The Lightning exciting. And, Marco Sturm said that he was kind of happy that happened because now mistakes are exposed and you can work on that. We're only 5 games in. I'm anticipating a couple games where the Bruins go down and they come back and they win it, like we used to see in that 2020 Torrey Krug, when that power play, every time they had the man advantage, you're like, I know you're going to score, and that doesn't really happen right now. Take me back. I'm going to take you back to your pasta comment. I'm going to respectfully play devil's advocate a little bit here. I agree that now seeing 5 games through and then watching him in training camp, like, this is his team. I love it. I love the next level of David Pastrnak that we're seeing, and there's even more to go. But I wasn't sure about that. Like, I feel more sure about that now as each game goes by. I'm glad they waited, and I think they're going to make an announcement. I mean, I got to be careful what I say.
Are you breaking news right now, Sophia?
No. I don't know anything, but I'm saying if they made an announcement anytime soon, I'd be like, okay, this makes sense. But I like that Marco Sturm decided, like, I want to watch. I want the player to earn it. I want to get to know him. Why do you think he should have been named that in captain in camp, or were you just kind of like saying that as a figure of speech, or are you like passionate about that thought?
No, I just think like it's a clear leader on this team, right? Marchand has been gone for a few months now. Like, I think you can't go wrong. You have McAvoy, you have Pastrnak. Like, you could make an argument for either. That sequence against the Lightning where he blocks a goal and then he blows up Kucherov, and that's like every Bruins fans, like, they're probably screaming at their TVs when that happened, even though they lost. But that's just like the epitome of Pastrnak. He's going to put his body out on the line. I was just like more of like, yeah, you don't want to name a captain in the summer when, like, the guys don't really know each other. They don't gel. Maybe this Vegas trip will be different because they spent some time bonding. But, yeah, I thought, like, this is Pasternak's team. Like, he is the excitement, right? Like, he is what you tune in for Bruins hockey for. He's going to score the goals. That's what people around the league love to see. So I wouldn't be surprised with either. But I think after the first 5 games, like, this is his team.
Yeah, and I feel like you needed to give this team some time to, like, bond so that they can have that, what do we hear from every hockey player? We put our bodies on the line for one another. We don't think twice about it. We stand up for each other, and we saw that contested through 5 games. And a more physical Pasta trying to get into the mix. Not that I really want to see much more of that. But on that note, what are some takeaways or some positives that came out of last night's game in general? Because, yeah, we could sit there and talk about some of the mistakes that got by, the defense, and some people pointing wrongful fingers towards Swayman. But I think they were still good for, again, 5 games into the season.
Yeah, I think just it's encouraging to see the secondary scoring come about. Janot with his second goal. I think Asimont got his first goal as a Bruin. Like, that's what you want to see, but the top 6 also has to perform for, like, that to matter. Because the usual suspects are on the top, right? I think, like, Pasta has 6 points. He got on the score sheet last night. I think Lindholm has 5 points maybe. 2 goals, 3 assists, I want to say. So the secondary scoring was a moral victory for me, and it was the bounce back play of Jeremy Swayman. I mean, Jeremy Swayman has been a different player this year than we've seen. I think he's 2-1 with like a 916 save percentage or a 915 save percentage. So him bouncing back is crucial. Him playing well against good teams is crucial for this team. And again, like, you see the 6 goals and you think, oh, like, he must have had a bad game. No, like, the Knights could have scored 10 last night and you wouldn't have been surprised. So not leaving him out to dry, I think, will be important. But those are the small things that, no quit in them. I think that's a testament to the vibes around this team, is that they're going to fight until the horn. But yeah, Swayman bouncing back and getting the secondary scoring, because it is a bottom 6 heavy team right now. So they're missing that piece on the second line. Geekie got moved down. Casey Middlestat had his issues last night. So I think finding that scoring balance, because it's going to be it has to be a team effort. Everybody has to be contributing for this team to be successful.
I love your comment about Jeremy Swayman. Totally agree. You would have seen a couple of, that power play goal, and they had a bad PK. They had a couple. They also had a really good PK, 5-on-3 and then 5-on-4. We can discuss that too. But
they had like a worse power play.
What's
That's
that?
Where they had a worse power play. That's where most of the scoring chances came in for Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh. But Sway, like, letting in that, there were a couple chances where it goes off his shoulder, and then, anyway, whatever, letting that happen. Normally we would have seen maybe body language or just like more nervousness or less control of the puck. But I really like your point about bounce back. It's like you let in a couple of goals, or maybe the team's not playing that great in front of you, and you still stay in it in your head. And obviously he did do that. So Marco Sturm also called him out and said, or called it out and said, Jeremy Swayman had a great game. So yes, the 6 goals, don't want to see that, but it's more like the body language, the believability, the bounce back. And again, I wonder what kind of conversation we would be having. I used to joke that when you listen to sports radio, when when your team wins, everyone's like, that was amazing. We focus on all the positives, like this worked and that worked. When they lose, it's like, this is what didn't work. But if they had won by 1, maybe we'd be talking a little bit about what didn't work, but we'd be talking about how great and, what clicked and et cetera, et cetera. So we're trying to stay kind of like neutral here, be realistic. But I think
for me, like the biggest, like after last night, I'm like, oh my God, they miss Hampus Lindholm. Like, please get Hampus Lindholm. I think Jordan Harris has played great since they came up. But I forget, I think it was the William Karlsson goal where they just let him go straight to the net. And I was like, oh my God, please, like Hampus, please be okay.
Need a bigger body back there.
Yeah. That's what Razor said. He was saying that you really notice in these kind of games, and then PK minutes and then taking control of the puck and quarterbacking, all that kind of stuff is where you're noticing Hampus. We all know, if you guys are just tuning in to the Hockey Hub, we all know that he's on the trip and he's expected to make a start in either Saturday or Sunday back-to-back games. So we'll see how that goes. Marina, looking ahead, are you anxious about, or I don't know if the word is anxious, but what do you think of the opponents coming up, starting with Colorado on Saturday, and what a test it's going to be with the Bruins?
Yeah, I think you see a lot of these teams right off the bat. Like, the Bruins beat the Sabres, but it's the Knights, it's the Lightning, it's the Avalanche. It's a measuring stick game for them to see, like, okay, like this is how we stack up against these elite teams in the NHL. So I'm more interested to see how they play and if Swayman will go back to back. Like, Corpy's had a tough 3 games. Not really his fault. So I'm really interested, Saturday night, if they go back to Swayman. They do have a back-to-back. So I'm sure he'll get one of those games. But I'd like to see our best against their best. So hopefully Hampus comes back. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it is a measuring stick game. You'd like to see, what happens when you play the best of the best and how you make out. And that's going to be a big game for Pasta. I'm very curious to see what happens to Martin Necas and his contract situation in Colorado, because I think that's a player. Don Sweeney, I'm calling you right now, like that. him on the Bruins would make a big difference. So that type of stuff too. It was funny. Sweeney was scouting in Detroit the other day for Team Canada, and I was like looking at the Red Wings roster. I was like, oh, anyone coming to help the team? So stuff like that. So. Seeing if Swayman will play, I'm very curious, because it's supposed to be more of a split this year, I assume, with him and Korpisalo. So just seeing how they shape up against 2 really good teams. Yeah, more of a split than last season, but a large part of that due to the condensed schedule with the Olympics. Right? We're seeing so many more back-to-backs and stuff like that. But I agree, measuring stick game against great teams, against Colorado. We'd like to have your best against the best so we can really test that out. Before we let you go, because we do have to send it to break, what has been your favorite new look jersey? Do you have a favorite? I love the Pooh Bear. Do you have a favorite Bees jersey? I was breaking down the doors for the Pooh Bear to come back, love Sophia. Like all these stories about it. I wanted it. I think it's super cool. Like, I think the NHL should have more flexibility about fun jerseys. You see in the NFL, they have like these throwbacks. They have, different jerseys every week. Like, why not do that in the NHL? Like, I think it's so cool, especially like against original 6 teams. I love during the centennial year, the Bruins would put on, their 3rd jersey or their centennial jersey against original 6 teams. Like, I think that's a great homage to the game. I think it's more fun, like just seeing the jersey matchups and all of that. But yeah, I was a big Pooh Bear person. I love this jersey. I'm very curious what the 3rd jersey will look like going forward. But I think more throwbacks in the NHL, it would be awesome. Like, especially highlighting big games and big, events whatever it might be. Yeah. I agree. Pooh Bear all the way, but happy with a spoke beat any way and any form. Girl, thank you so much for being on our show. We loved having you on. Please tell us you'll come back. Yes? Of course.
Okay. We're going to have Marina on regularly. Thank you so much. And we got to send it to break. Marina, thanks for your thoughts. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Hockey Hub as we take a look at this Bruins 3-game road trip, kind of early in the season. Not the only time they're going to be going out west. Obviously, they're going to do their Western Canada swing. But we don't have LA, we don't have the Ducks on there, so they're going to be going back out at some point. But for now, starting with a loss against Vegas, 6-5 in regulation. Then, Kasey, a couple back-to-backers. Tomorrow at Colorado, Sunday at Utah. And, yeah, got to promote that our pregame coverage starts an hour before at Nesson. All this means to the guys is that they got to stay up late when it's a 9 o'clock start. And they get sleepy, which means I got to bring the entertainment.
How's that? Having to reel everybody in, bring the energy,
bring the snacks. Let's go.
Snacks keep me awake, yeah.
I'm going to get your take because I'm just looking up the rosters right now. But give us a take. Where do you want to start? Colorado, Mammoth, Utah?
Let's start with Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
We heard Marina. Great guess, by the way.
I know.
Great guess.
I love the blogger energy, but like I said, like I don't think I gave enough credit to like her tweets. Like,
yes, so like, funny.
They're funny, they're fun, and like
smart.
They just really draw you in. Yeah, super witty. We know that we're a big fan of wit here on the Hockey Hub because I mean that's why we have dragged Pete Blackburn back a number of times. But yeah, like mentioning the fact that this is going to be a huge test and a good measuring stick for the Boston Bruins is more positive than negative.
Yes.
Because I feel like we've heard a lot of similar post-game pressers from Marco Sturm between the Tampa Bay Lightning loss and the Vegas Golden Knights loss. And it's the whole get back to our standard.
Yep.
And the standard being hard to play against. Well, you can't be hard to play against if you're allowing 4 and 6 goals against you. And that's not on the shoulders of Korpisalo or Swayman. That's more so just some kind of, I want to say, miscues with the new defense that's being implemented, the new system in totality. So like going against a Colorado team that's going to have some similarities to Vegas. For one, Vegas was really good with takeaways and making sure that like any loose pucks were theirs for the taking and that they were going to be in possession of these matters. And like that's exactly what Colorado can do. You got Nate McKinnon, which is one of the best skaters out there and very hard to keep off the board.
Oh yeah.
But then also like Cale Makar, he led in takeaways last season. I think it was like 58. So you're talking about another team that can make you pay for any sort of slip-ups, not only in coverage, but not being protective with the puck. And then you can continue to see who can make good strides. I mean, I want to give a little bit of a shout out to Mason Lohrei because the past 3 games that he's had have actually been quite clean for him. And like you've seen a nice step in a good direction from games 1 and 2 to games 3, 4, and 5.
I'm going to pay closer attention. How about that? Because when I'm watching a game, I'm making so many different notes, but I'm going to pay closer attention to puck.
You got to keep so many things
Got to keep a lot in order. And then, you know, there's a lot going on. But puck management is not something I've paid too close attention to unless it's an egregious turnover.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen that already with the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, puck management's got to be up there. I just got to, like, compare it to how other teams are doing in the league with that. But we've seen some egregious ones where you're like, oh, my God,
and
what
it
just
hurts
happened?
your soul. It takes the air out of the moment. But then even for the more subtle ones, it's like last night, for instance, there was moments where it just felt like there was so much panic play happening. So you're seeing really aggressive passes taking place, which means there's not clean connections on the stick. So you're losing an opportunity just because of, like, pure panic in a moment. And I mean, none of us can speak to being in that situation, obviously, but those are just things where, like, I feel like the guys understand, like, hey, when we take it down a notch, and they settled in throughout the game in moments, and then they went back into that panic. So, like, again, Colorado can copy and paste a number of things that the Vegas Golden Knights did in terms of just, like, being fast, being in control of the pace, forcing some of these mistakes. So that standard that Marco Sturm set that everyone is well aware of, that buy-in, like this is where they can just settle things down a little more.
Can we, it's not really in the lineup, but I want to go back to something that we were going to maybe talk about with Marina, but we were talking about her story a little bit. I brought it up with her. I think we didn't have our pre-game meeting or pre-show meeting like we always do, because sometimes Kasey and I will have a meeting and then we'll talk about what we agree or disagree on. Catch up. I think we're on different pages because I heard you say PK wasn't that good. So let's talk about that.
No, PK was good. Power play.
Oh, power play.
In terms
Okay.
of like how many opportunities got past them. So 2 shorthanded opportunities get through your power play, and you at least have 1 or 2 defensive capable guys out there. Like, yeah, that's going to hurt you if you need your power play to pick up a goal, and then shorthanded opportunities are coming in. Wild build cashes in, then another tidal wave of like a scoring opportunity comes by. So not that PK wasn't good, because surviving 5-3, 5-on-3, you're always going to get a hats off from me.
And then 5-on-4 for 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like, that was wild. That was
no,
really
not
good.
PK.
Okay,
I'll never
good.
disrespect our PK unit right now. They're killing it. But no, power play, like, you can't be giving up shorthanded opportunities time and time again.
No, and I'm so glad that they did score on the power play, David Pastrnak doing that. But yeah, it was 0 for 5 in Tampa, or versus Tampa. And again, when it's a 1-goal game, or when you're coming back, or when the momentum's on your side and you like get within one, and then you get a power play, that's like the cherry on top. That's like the ticket you want to punch, where it's like, okay, we're back. Get the other team on their heels, and I feel like the Bruins had a lot of opportunities to do that. But we're talking 5 games in. If we're 20, 25 games in and we're still seeing these kind of struggles, because it's a new system, because it's a new power play and special teams coach and Steve Spott, it's like, all right, because we are getting better looks, which is what we like. We are getting better looks, and the guys have talked about that even though you may not be scoring all the time on the power play, when you're creating momentum and chances when you're creating chances, that creates a little bit of momentum. But it's situational. Like I said, when you're within one or when you're tied, it's like, that's when you want to punch it in. So
send it home.
Yeah, send it home. Yeah.
And like, everyone can see things differently. I think some of the power plays that I've seen materialize for the team, like something that can also kind of take the air out from the situation, is like, you're getting a good passing sequence going on, and then you're losing the puck up at the top, and then it's going out of the zone. So now you're losing time chasing it. Like, that's happened a little too much for them in terms of like, you're almost there to pack that punch, to send a message, and then it's just kind of like, oh, you lose the hold on the line. So like, that's just little things where it's well within their reach to clean up. So that's why I'm like, some of the fans are like, season's over. I'm like, I'm nowhere close to that, considering all the good that we've seen out of this team. But like, those are those little things on top of like defensive wise, we got to see different.
Last thing I'll say about it, and then we can talk about the Mammoth really quick, but I may have been spoiled because, again, I came in the era where the Bruins were just like at the top, at the best, and just so close to winning another Stanley Cup. But you had Bergie, Pasta, Marchand. I'm trying to think, like McAvoy was up there, Torrey Krug, Coyle. Like, that power play was so... Krejci, yes. Was so good and so fun to watch, and so many threats, and they're figuring that out now. But it was just like, I'm kind of looking at one where I'm comparing it. I don't know if it's fair to compare, because it was just so good and so many threats. And so let's give it some time. Let's let it breathe. What do you want to say about the Utah Mammoth? I feel like you'll have a better read than I do, because I haven't been watching any of their games or really studying that roster. But
fun, young, and definitely can be dangerous. I've tracked Logan Cooley's career since he was with Minnesota. I mean, we've talked too much about Matthew Nyes, but he played on a line with Nyes and, Snuggerud, and we wanted big things for their career, and he's in a perfect place to kind of make an impact. So he's centering the second line over at Utah, but it's JJ Peterka. He broke my heart by choosing to go to Utah. I don't even know if Boston tried to pursue him at all, but I had every hope and dream that he would end up here, and he's feeling himself in Utah. That's the most dangerous thing. So you're also talking about a player that can be so deceptive with the puck and make sure that he's going to find a goal. So if they leave Swayman out to dry or Korpisalo out to dry, whoever is there, Peterka's the kind of guy that can be so consistent in that factor. And then Dylan Guenther, he's really fun to watch. He's so nonchalant about everything, but I mean, at one point he was leading the league in shots on goal through at least the first 2 or 3 games of the season.
Okay.
In totality throughout the NHL. And so this is a guy who's already such a centerpiece for Utah, but they've got quality guys that can make sure that they're loading up with shot volume. And then, I mean, this could be biased, but Mikhail Sergachev, I think, is tremendous defensively when in the right system. So this could be a back and forth game. This can get pretty high scoring, but they don't want it to be exactly what happened last night, where they've got a good, they take the lead for a minute and they just give it back up in response. And that's something that can go back and forth with Utah. I feel like that's exactly what we could potentially see if defense doesn't come in cleaner and protect their goaltender.
Are the Bruins going to take the next 2? Are they going to lose the next 2? Are they going to split? What do you think?
Oh, I have a feeling Utah can go into overtime.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see a 3-2 situation in Utah. Unfortunately, Colorado's just tough. I mean, if you just look at their centers down the way, McKinnon, Nelson, Jack Drury, I'm super high on him and his two-way kind of play, in Harvard grad, so he's from the area in a sense. And then Kelly there on the fourth line, they're going to be a very, very exhausting team to play against. So I could see a 4-2 loss.
Okay.
if everything pans out in the cleanup category, if we see the Bruins that played against the Capitals, then like maybe we're looking at a 2-1 situation.
Okay. Yeah, I think they're going to split the next 2 games. I'd like to say they're going to win the next 2 games, but that's a little bold. Split the next 2 games. Guys, coming up after the break, we have a little segment called Tape to Tape, and we're just going to go over some of the big storylines, fun, serious, whatever, around the league so that you know what's going on outside of Bruins Nation as well. So Kasey and I will be right back with that.
Give this to Kevin.
Give this to Kevin.
Give this to Kevin. Give this to Kevin. Give this to Kevin.
Give this to Kevin.
Kevin's not here.
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 That was good. Welcome back to the Hockey Hub, that obviously from Home Alone. I like that they had Murat Husnudinov in there too.
I know.
It was very inclusive, not just like, you know, because I don't know if he grew up with that. I'll have to ask him that.
Right.
If he got to see that growing up. His English, he's still working on his English. I love that. What did you think of
Actually, I think that's
Raleigh?
a great point because I know a lot of times, like, I have a lot of family not from here, and like, there's those token movies to watch.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're not for sure what you're watching, like, that could be a token one.
Even as a Canadian,
Yeah.
there's a difference. Like,
Okay.
there's a lot of, in the sense that, like, for example, you guys, what was it, MTV? What was the show after school for MTV?
Daily, what's his face?
Whatever, that, didn't watch.
Carson Daly,
Didn't watch
Countdown or
that.
something.
Yeah, the Countdown. We never had that. There's like a lot of things that I have friends here now, and they're like, remember this from when we were 20? I'm like, no.
No.
And so in Russia and in Europe, probably a lot of staples.
Right.
We'll have to ask him. He's probably like, what the hell is this? What is this kid?
What are we doing?
What the hell is this? Yes.
Yes, please
Good
ask
job.
him that. But, I mean, the pitch from Corrali on the Kevin,
That's
yeah,
good.
he did a good job. Everyone wanted to
Corrali.
give him a, what is it, an Oscar after? Is that the right award for
Sure.
acting?
Why not? Sure. I'm sure
We'll go with it.
I'm
We're
sure
gonna go
he'll
with
want
it.
a Stanley Cup, but Oscar would be nice too. Do you want to lead us into tape to tape? Because
Okay.
I've been talking a lot here.
Oh, yes.
Lead us in.
I'll take us in. Let me get to the tape to date paper. And it's TRL, Carson Daly MTV.
Yeah.
I believe.
Was it called the real life? No, what was it? The real life?
TRL?
What is
I think the
TRL
real life
stand
is
for?
something else.
Okay,
I don't know. We're going to figure it out.
Anyway, I didn't have it. Didn't know it. Don't know what you guys are talking about.
All right, so starting with tape to tape. Canadiens defenseman Lane Hudson, that's with a T, not cool like mine, like a D. Canucks Thatcher Demko and then Brock Besser were listed among skaters on USA's expanded preliminary 2026 Olympic roster submission. Now, I think this is cool because obviously, in a sense, Hudson's dad tried to make a statement about like him representing USA, and if he didn't, he could represent Canada. But considering the numbers that he's already putting up so far this season, I mean, he can make a case for it. Thatcher's pretty good. He just hasn't been all that healthy. And then, like, you've seen Brock Besser's career. Like, wouldn't it be cool?
Yes. No, I like Brock Besser a lot. I'm a little bit biased, as we discussed earlier in the show, to try to be a non-biased journalist. I am biased to Brock Besser. I really like him as a person. I really like him as a player. I'm like, if I were to really sit down and look at all the American players and compare.
Is he a mini native?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he is. And he has a lot of dogs. And we connected with his dad and my dad. And anyway, I really like him. But if I were to really sit down, which I will do eventually, I haven't done this yet, and objectively go through rosters and players, I'll have a better idea of what I think as they're getting made up. But so preliminary expanded roster means they haven't officially cracked it, right?
Yeah, no. They're just
okay.
going to have an opportunity to get into the mix potentially.
Yeah, then no-brainer.
Exactly.
No-brainer. If you have an opportunity, yeah, get these guys in there.
Yeah.
Do I go next? I think so,
Yep.
right? Okay,
Your
so the
go.
KHL has banned a referee for life after allowing a goal that went through the hole on the side of the netting. So I didn't actually see this video, but our producer Brendan was explaining it. And at first I was like, this is stupid, banned for life. They're so intense. But then when he described it, that it seemed like it was clear. Did you see it?
You know, he explained it, though,
so
how it clearly
clearly
bounced in from the backside, got through the netting.
Yeah. So it's like, if it's clear and it's obvious and you have a chance to review it and he still allowed it, I think this is a good message to send. It's like, hey, don't mess with the integrity of the game. And apparently that was the game-winning goal too.
Yeah.
At first I was like, banned for life. That's ridiculous. But again, it just depends on how clear it was. And if it was clear, you can't be doing stuff like that.
Absolutely not. And I mean, like, considering like the intensity of hockey over there, like I always think about it in like a soccer sense because that's what I played. Like refs in soccer overseas, like they have to do it under aliases because fans would literally
yeah,
follow
yeah.
them home, or
Yes.
like they were getting like kidnapped and murdered and all these things in England especially. So it's just like maybe the banning could protect him in a sense, but like, yeah, game-winning goal, you can't do this when you have an opportunity to make a correction.
Yeah. And there's a lot, like this is a story for another day. We're not on a conspiracy theory show, but there are other sports and other leagues, wink, wink, that I feel like the reffing is a little bit skewed.
That's a
I won't
great
get
note
into
to
that
leave
right
us
now.
on.
All because of the betting world that's opened up. But that's, don't get me started.
That's a can to open.
I'm also, I don't want to get like canceled, so I'm going to be careful. Why don't we look at, we talked about the Utah Mammoth. That's who the Bruins are playing on Sunday, back to regular time Eastern. So that's going to be at 7 o'clock Eastern. Let's look at their mascot. So we know that they were the Utah Hockey Club. They've been kind of working on the franchise, getting things going. Tusky is the new mascot. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about this. I think it looks like the logo. It's cool.
It looks like the,
Right?
It's got a gigantic head, but that's maybe me, just like the child in me that like could easily be spooked by certain mascots and people. But his unveiling was pretty cool. He was in an ice cube, or an ice glacier in a sense, in the middle of the ice, and like as things were rattling around the arena, he popped out and went skating. So I would say that his debut into the world was awesome.
I got to get to know Tusky's personality. I remember when Gritty came out and people were like, what the hell is this? And then Gritty's like the funniest mascot ever.
Makes
I mean, love
sense.
him or hate him, I don't know, but I like him. And I think his opening tweet was, "It me,"
That's
comma, Gritty.
great.
Like it wasn't "it's me," it
Yes.
was "it me." And I don't know if that was a typo. I don't think so now, knowing what Gritty is. And I remember in Canada, we have this show with Jay and Dan. It's no longer around, but it was like a sports center. It was from TSN. And they were
love
like
TSN.
peeing themselves laughing. Like they couldn't finish the show because they were reading his tweet. And they're like, "It me, Gritty?" And they were like, what the heck is this? And then now Gritty's become this staple. So
Oh yeah,
is Tusky
iconic.
going to be funny? Is he going to be serious?
Oh, I'm curious
he
about
scary?
that now. Because you look forward to people's interaction with Gritty because you know he's going to give him a hard time.
Yes.
And it's so funny.
Gritty's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm on board with thinking he's funny.
We can't have too many Gritties though. Like if everyone was doing that, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Who's the LA? Oh my God, tip of my tongue. Anyway, I forgot the LA mascot's name, but he's kind of like wildin' too. I forget. I'll find it. I'm gonna find it. But like Blades, for example, with the Bruins, I don't want Blades to be like. I love Blades. Blades is just like
Doesn't
everyone's
need to play
friend.
a villain.
No, he's the
not
best.
at all.
Okay, what else do we have? You do Bailey. Thank you, producer Brennan.
There we
Bailey in LA also sometimes gets a little naughty and messy, and like you
A
can't
little
have
Dennis
everyone.
the Menace-y?
Yeah. Dennis the Menace.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out for that one. All right, Stars fans showed up in full goalie gear for the home opener. Also popped up in this fit for the preseason. My initial question for this one was like, how did you get through security, dude? Like,
Wait, true.
yeah, like you're coming in, you can't even fit through the detectors, or at least 90% of the ones that I've been through. I get it, I'm 5 foot, but like goalie gear is a lot.
That is a lot. I wonder if they had to like really pat him down, if they had to take everything off, because you can be sneaking in a lot of things in there.
Yeah, like
You
did
could
he
put a
roll
couple
it
of
through
beers
in the
pads.
bag? Did he put the padding in the bag and then dress in the bathroom? Like,
Well, they probably had to put it in the X-ray machine. I mean, we have one with Bruins security. I have to go through an X-ray. Like I put my bag through an X-ray thing to
Yeah,
make sure my
yeah.
bag's fine, and then a metal detector, all that kind of stuff. The regular fan one, I don't know because I never go in through that. But yeah, I don't know.
but still, that's a lot. That's a lot to be packing for a game.
I'm freezing at NHL games. Okay. At the
I remember
hockey.
asking you that actually because winter is your favorite and you like to walk in cold weather.
Yeah, I'm walking, but I'm sitting in heels and I'm like typing with my fingers. I don't like
You
it.
put pocket heaters in.
No, but I always have tights. I always have blankets. I drink hot water, and it's like everyone sees my thermos on the desk at the garden. There's just hot water in there. It's boring. I wish I could say it was exciting. It's just hot water. But anyway, I was going to say in goalie gear, at least you can be warm. That was
true.
my only comment.
Would you wear it
On air, no.
to a game?
No.
Okay.
But at least you're warm. The final one, we have the Anaheim Ducks giving out Wild Wing masks for opening night. Okay, so I love that. I love bobbleheads. Towels are cool. What else are we giving out? But this is so cool. This is one of those. Hopefully the plastic doesn't go back into the ocean thing because everyone keeps
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
This is so sick. And the eyes look so LED, laser-ish. I mean, for any, I think almost
Oh yeah,
all
the eyes.
Yeah, that was the part that got me. I was just like, holy crap, whatever they use there is like insane looking. I would have had a heyday with that at a game. That would have been such a fun part. I told our producer immediately I was on board for purchasing this and getting it shipped here because I was, of course, like many, a Mighty Ducks gal. But then he told me it was like $50 to get here from the West Coast. So I was like, well.
Ask Adam. He's going to Anaheim. I think he's going to be on that road trip whenever that is. Ask Adam Pellerin to bring you in.
There we go, Pellerin, you've got one additional job. Bring back Mighty Ducks mask.
Okay, Kasey, I think we're done with tape to tape. We're going to send it to break again, and then we're going to come back on the other end with shoot or pass, which is another little segment we do, which we're going to debate if we shoot or pass on certain subjects, okay? And we're also going to set up the weekend for you guys with the Boston Bruins. We'll be right back after this on Hockey Hub. Welcome back to the Hockey Hub on this Friday after the Bruins lose 6-5 to the Vegas Golden Knights. They're off today. Actually, I don't know if they're skating or not, but they're not playing a game. And then they're going to be playing on the weekend, back-to-back games, and then on Tuesday. But we have a show on Monday, so we're saving it. But on Tuesday, Marshy's back in town. Everyone's talking about that. But let's get through the weekend first, right, Kasey?
Yes, we got a back-to-back to breathe through.
And then on Monday, we're going to be talking about Brad Marchand. But to wrap the show, first of all, thank you to Marina Maher, who joined us, Boston Bruins blogger, works at Barstool as well, lifelong fan. She was excellent. If you missed that, check it out on our socials. She gave a lot of good opinions on the Boston Bruins. We're going to end with something called shoot or pass. I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Read number one.
Las Vegas is the greatest party city in North America. I'm going to pass on this one, but we talked about being biased. I decided to celebrate my 30th birthday in Vegas. It freaked me out not seeing daylight for like 5 days straight.
Why? Because you were sleeping all day, partying
No,
all night?
it's just like everything's connected. Like you don't see time anywhere.
Yeah.
That really factors in. Like we went to go get brunch and it turned into like a whole club scene for hours, and then you just lose a lot of time. So is it fun? Is it a good time? Yes, but I am slightly traumatized.
Okay, well, happy belated 30th, even though it was like 2 years ago.
Thank you.
We're talking about it, so happy belated.
Thank you.
A hard pass for me. Like, it's fun, but I've traveled with the Bruins to Vegas many times. I don't party. Like, that's a day to rest
Unless there's
at the
like
pool.
a DJ or something playing. If you're into that, like, yeah, it's just.
I can name like 10 cities that are better off the top. Nashville to party in.
I love
Toronto,
Nashville.
big city. New York, big city.
Miami,
yeah. Florida.
Yeah.
I like Las Vegas, but absolutely not the greatest party city in North America. There's no chance. Jordan Harris. I'm going to skip this one. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Someone other than McAvoy or Pastrnak will be the next Bruins captain. Shoot or pass?
I'm going to pass, but I feel like I've kind of made a bit of a pitch here. Like, if we considered anything else, anyone else, like, everyone knows I'm a Zadorov fan. But yeah, pass.
Pass. I think it's one of those two. We heard Marina say that it's become Pasternak's team. I agree.
You called that months ago.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I don't remember doing that.
When you talked to him at the end of the season, you talked about how just like some of his persona just changed and how he was taking leadership roles just naturally, very subtle things.
Yes.
And I feel like that's gone that much further.
That I do remember, but even then I was like, ooh, it was like a little seed. And I can't believe how much it's grown. And even like Billy and Razor and Barry talk about on our show, just like what he's doing on the ice and off the ice, just like how he's laying it. We saw the goal, like the save he made, cute, whatever, but how he's just like absolutely becoming that.
The end all to be all.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. It is David Pasternak's team as of now. Okay, you pick the next one.
Played with the Master. Okay, I would rather travel to Utah than Winnipeg. I think I might pass on that.
Okay.
Because I want to see Winnipeg. I want to go to a whiteout game. I want to have that experience.
Okay.
But like as for Utah, like I mean, you guys have seen me run around Boston in my cowboy boots. I won't pass up a moment to be anywhere near a ranch.
I've been to Utah. I covered the World Championships of skiing and snowboarding many years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. That was really fun. I was like stuck. I don't want to say stuck because it was so fun, but I didn't get to, like I was just in Park City.
Okay.
So I was just like on the mountains in the lodge, whatever. I was just there. And that's it. Hotel. It was like all day, every
Didn't
day.
get to venture past that.
Didn't get to venture at all. So I'd love to see Utah again. Winnipeg is not my favorite city in North America as a Canadian city, but like the fans there are so passionate.
That's what
in
I
the
mean.
summer I've never been, and it's apparently got a lot of beautiful lakes in Manitoba. That's a tough one. But for now, I'd rather.
We're gonna visit both.
Yes, we're going to visit both. Let's get the budget to do remote shows.
There we go.
Let's go. That'd be
Actually,
great.
could you imagine you and I on a snowboard taking Hockey Hub down the slopes?
No. I mean, that'd be so fun. I would love to do that. You ski or snowboard?
Snowboard.
I do both. Just
Funny
started
story to that, but we'll
Okay.
save it for
Okay,
another time.
save it because we have like a minute left.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the last one. I would rather watch a movie instead of a TV show. Shoot or pass. Oh, I have to answer it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't watch a lot of TV. Like, there are maybe 5 series in my entire life that have gotten me hooked. One of them was Squid Games. I love Narcos. There's only, like, I'm not a big TV series person, so I'd rather watch a movie. One and done. I'm a big, like, if it's something on my to-do list, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, I have to finish this. So when there's shows, I'm like, I gotta watch the show. With the movie, then I can just like be like,
Put
I'm
it
done.
on
Put
and
it-
like
yeah, yeah.
not so much stress behind it. I guess I'm gonna have to go with being a TV show person, but it's more so the fact that I will re-watch things.
Okay.
And I do it because like sometimes I just need like white noise in the background when I'm like doing other things,
Yeah.
or, like prep and everything like that. And then like I love when a good TV series comes out. I got hooked on The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie on Netflix, but I'm a
Good.
big Guy Ritchie's like a comedic action guy.
Yeah.
Like so like if you're into those like
I like
comedy
this- I like
spots,
Snatch,
right?
yeah.
Like in high intensity, high action, like you'll love them. And
All
like
right.
you got me at English banter any day.
Okay, girl. All right, that's
Yeah.
it for Hockey Hub on this Friday, October something. What day is it?
17th.
17th, guys. We'll see you on Monday. The Bruins have a couple of weekend tilts. Colorado, then Utah. Tune in to pregame an hour before each puck drop. That's it. We're saying goodbye. See you Monday.